Hello.
I am ready. I'm ready to go. I want to talk about before you get into it, I want to talk about the Vince McMahon thing. I want to implicate and indict as many people as I can because I'm just in that mood tonight. If I was a prosecutor, I'd have the whole bunch already convicted and possibly in jail.
On that
Got
note,
it?
hello. It is me, your True Hill Phenom, SP3. We are back once again on Sports Kita by Wrestle Binge for another edition of Smack Talk, our review of WWE SmackDown from tonight, February 16, 2024. I am with legendary wrestler, manager, creative mind, and mustache, the president and owner of University of Dutch. It is Dutch Mantell. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good. And the reason for my outburst at the start of the show was I was talking to, to Sid, and he said, "Have you seen this interview?" And I don't know where my head went. And I said, "What interview?" And then he played a part of it for me, and we're going to talk about it a little later. Yes, I did see that, and we'll get into that just a little bit later. You want to start off by talking about that show tonight?
Well, tonight's show was, of course, centered around The Rock and Roman Reigns, their first in-ring kind of segment together since uniting at the WWE WrestleMania 40 kickoff show from last week. They were in the ring in tonight's main event segment. We've had two Elimination Chamber qualifying matches for the Women's Chamber match, as well as two for the Men's Chamber match. The Men's Chamber match lineup is completely filled. We have one more spot to fill over on the women's side. So, a couple of different things going on the show. But before we get into the show, we do need to discuss more involving the whole Vince McMahon, drama, controversy, lawsuit, and everything
My
falling out
my,
from that.
my favorite subject, really.
Last week we talked about the indictment and the allegations that was said by Ashley Massaro about the
Hmm.
what happened to her on a visit to the troops in Kuwait. And now we have her best friend that has come out in an interview. I believe was it on CNN? It was on some TV network, so it was on national TV. She publicly saying that that Ashley Massaro went into a board meeting with basically the heads of WWE, Vince McMahon, Stephanie McMahon, John Laurinaitis, and they were basically told Ashley that she needed to keep what happened to her under wraps and that she couldn't make it public, and they basically everyone knew of this whole thing, and it implicates Stephanie McMahon, which is the major kind of headline from her words that she said in this interview. Dutch, what do you think about all of this, and now Stephanie's name being said firmly involved in this whole situation with Ashley Manzaro?
Well, unofficially, I think everybody knew everything about Vince to begin with. It was just kept quiet. Nobody wanted to say anything about it because they're afraid they're going to lose their job. I get that. But a crime was being committed all during those years of Vince being and owning WWF. It started with Rita Chatterton.
Yeah.
And everything was shut up about that. Oh, don't say nothing about this. And then they had that on, it was all over TV. But this latest charge has been reported all over the world, even in all of Europe, all of Africa, everything. Because everybody, WWE programming is everywhere. In Africa, it's Europe, Asia, and everybody that has a TV and looks at it and watches wrestling. And, a lot of people watch it, not regularly, but, a lot of people may not even understand it, may not be in their language, but they'll still watch it and they can see what Vince looks like. So when some news comes out about Vince, well, yeah, we're going to report on this, but it doesn't look good for Vince. Doesn't look good for that old regime up there. Of course, they're under new owners now, Endeavor, and I think getting Vince out of there, I think this was all set up to move him out because they thought they'd moved him out anyway. Then all of a sudden, through his power of his ownership and shares, voting shares, I mean, they couldn't get nothing done if Vince was voting on it because he'd vote it down. So now they weren't running the company; they were they just were the owners, but wasn't in charge of it. So then they went behind Vince's back, leaked this story to the New York Post. Everybody else picked it up from there, and then it's been all down. It's all defense now for Vince. Now, talking about what we saw on TV, and I saw it when it came out. I didn't pay a lot of attention to it because I was having to run somewhere, but it resurfaced today, and it was the best friend of Ashley Massaro went into a board meeting or a leadership.
Not the best friend. It was Ashley Massaro went into the board meeting.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Ashley Massaro went in there, and this was Ashley's best friend telling the story. And she went in there and she was totally shot down. They told her it's best for business. Screw you as an individual. Screw you as a human was what they were saying. Doesn't matter what happened to you. It's what happens to our bottom line. Because they had a contract with the armed services, United States Armed Services, to provide entertainment all over the world, I guess, for these soldiers. And I was in the Army and I saw the USO shows and all this. This was a little different, but they didn't want anything putting a bad mark on them representing WWE on these bases. And they told her to shut up. And it was interesting to who was in attendance that day. Stephanie McMahon was there, and you would think her being a female, she would be the most receptive to it and the most sympathetic. From what I hear, she was the least sympathetic, or one of the least sympathetic of all in attendance. Vince was there. I guess Bruce Pritchard was there. John Laurinaitis was there. And all the people that knew about Vince's earlier exploits are now hearing this, and they're not wanting to hear it, and they're not going to do anything about it. If she'll just be quiet over there, we'll handle this internally without all this big hullabaloo out of our control. Now, if they were smart, they say, listen, they would have called her aside. We're going to give you this. And we hate it happened. Show a little sympathy anyway. Throw her some money, do something. But I don't even think they did that. They just told her to shut up about it and go on and do her business. So is that what you understood that what happened at this meeting?
That's what it sounded like from what she sounded like, or she was just basically turned away and shot down, or her feelings wasn't kind of met at all. There was no sympathy, no empathy at all. That's what it really kind of sounded like from her explanation of what Ashley told her what happened to her.
Well, I'm embarrassed by it, and I'm hurt for her, because somebody told me one time, if you want to really see how you would feel about a subject, put somebody you love in Ashley Massaro's place, or a woman who's been sexually abused. Put your daughter in there. Put your sister in there. Put your cousin in there. Put somebody in there you care something about, and then the whole equation changes. Now, you don't want to see them hurt. You don't want to see, guys being guys. But I was reading that and I was saying, I cannot believe somebody can be that callous, especially Stephanie. If it happened is what I'm saying. I can't see her being as calloused that you seem to be against another female. And it would just, but I totally believe that story. I totally believe it that could have happened. Because if they were in a meeting with Vince, of course they're going to take Vince's side in it or agree with him because they have no choice unless they want to walk out the door that day. He could just call him over and says, "You're finished, get your stuff and get out." And then you're done. You're fired on the spot. So I think a lot of those guys didn't feel that way, but they had no recourse but to go along with it. And I would hate to be in their position. I really would, because I couldn't sleep at night. I would wake up and I say, hell, there's other jobs. May not be pay what that job paid, but there's other jobs, but I don't have to sacrifice my morals to work here. And I think that's what they did. But I totally believe but if did she report that to the base commander?
I don't know. I don't know what type of chain of command. I know that they were going over for a performance for the troops. So it's not about her reporting it to the chain commander of the troops or whatever. It's her reporting it to her boss. She did that. That's the only thing she had to do. I'm not going to ask any questions about who else she told. I think that's enough.
But when she reported that, it went no farther.
Yeah.
It never got to the base commander.
Probably not. Probably. I don't know. I don't know. We can only go by the information that we've been given so far. I don't know if it got as far as to back to the troops, and we don't know who knew what. We don't know if the base commander knew already, but without them notifying her, like that's going down a whole rabbit hole that I don't think that we need to go down. I think that we kind of address the kind of the.
No, I think we need to go down these. We need to go down these We need to go down these rabbit holes.
It's a rabbit hole. It's a rabbit hole because there's no end to it. There's no end to it. There's no solution to it.
Well, Bruce Pritchard just came out and he's starting to make some comments now, not about this, but some other comments. Have you read anything he said?
I believe that he kind of said that it is an ongoing lawsuit, so he can't address it kind of too much into the detail that a lot of people want him to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well,
it's kind of like what we said Triple H probably should have said during the press conference instead of what he did say. Is just stay the hell away from it because it's a lawsuit and it's ongoing, and it's understandable if you don't want to talk about it.
And nobody wants to get involved in that, because not only could you be implicated in it, especially if you knew something about it, it's going to cost you some money. Now you've got to retain counsel to defend yourself. And those lawyers aren't cheap. You know, it'd probably cost you $10,000, $20,000 just to defend yourself in it. You may be as innocent as the day is pure, if you believe that, and then you get out of it, and it may be, I don't know. So it is a mess. It's ongoing, and Vince has been kind of quiet, and his counsel's been kind of quiet this last week too.
Well, very wisely, he needs to be quiet, but got to take care of some maintenance here. If you're watching us, we got 173 of you watching across all 3 platforms. We appreciate y'all for joining us live. We are here every single Friday following SmackDown on Smack Talk right here on Sportskeeda by WrestleBinge YouTube channel, Sportskeeda Facebook, and the Twitch channel. So if you're watching us on Facebook, drop the like. That helps us out so much with the algorithm and gets everybody else to watch the video along with you. If you're watching us on Facebook, you can drop a like, a heart, an angry emoji, a laugh emoji.
Yeah, do something.
However, tonight's SmackDown made you feel, you could do that with one of those emotes over on Facebook. And of course, if you're watching us on Twitch, if you're watching us on Facebook, you're watching us on YouTube, sound off in the live chat. We'll try to highlight some comments, but the most important thing, you can send a super chat donation if you want a shout out. Want your name.
That's what I like.
Out.
Yep.
You want a question, you have a question that you want to have read, the best way to do that is with a super chat donation, like Chuck Berry's, one of the good brothers who's a
If
supporter
that is
over
his
on True
real
Hill Heat.
name,
Well,
Chuck Berry.
hey,
Is that
I
his real
believe him.
name?
I believe him. I'll take him. I'll take him at his name, and I'll take his money. Thank you,
Okay.
Chuck Berries. We appreciate the support. He says, when was the last time that WWE has done a tribute to the troops on the military installation? Were they done doing that by the time you were back with WWE?
No, they were doing them. They was doing them from
They were
Iraq,
still
and
going
oh
in.
yeah,
Oh, okay. So how
and
was I
actually,
kind of
a-
describe like how those trips are?
well, you get on the. I hear they put you on a military plane. You know, you're sitting there like the troops. They don't buy you a ticket, I don't think. And you're sitting there, and you got this big cargo. You've seen the big cargo space. It's big enough to put a big tank in. Let me say that it's big. And if you want to put seats in there, you can put seats in there. Uh, and they say it's not that bad, but of course, it's what you're used to. I would think it might be not that comfortable, but I've heard the tours are pretty good. The troops are great, and of course they WWE sends that over there as a the military pays for it. Of course, I think the WWE wants everybody to think they're doing it out of the goodness of their hearts. You know, Vince don't do stuff like that. He don't do out of the goodness of my heart for anything because he's a businessman. But I guess they get. I don't know what they get, but they do go over there. And the military, they are good hosts. And when I was in the military, yeah, I saw Bob Hope because it was out there. He didn't have a big stage and not a lot of lights. It was like at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and he was out there trying to tell jokes or do something in the middle of a baseball field. But at least he was there. And Ann Margaret, you remember her? You remember Ann Margaret?
And Mark, I've heard the name before.
Well, she was there too. She was like like a sex symbol, and she was there. She was very nice, and it was. But I guess that was before they started doing all this backstage stuff in the military stuff, like Ashley Massaro describes. Anyway, if it did happen, which I can't say it did.
I've heard stories for years dating back to even those days of stuff like that.
Well,
So
and
yeah,
it may have happened. It's been around since forever.
yeah.
So
Unfortunately,
and it may have happened, but in this case, Ashley Massaro, I think it really. She's dead now. She killed herself. I think she quit wrestling. Yes, am I correct on this? She quit wrestling. She had a sick mother, and one day she just decided to end it all and went out there and shot herself. And that I really, really hate because if it bothered her that bad, and she had nobody to help her. Where WWE should have been her protector. Apparently, from what we're hearing now, they didn't protect her at all. She was on her own. So,
and that's really really sad. So we want to send our best, you know, prayers to Ashley Manzaro's family, her friends. God bless her soul. Rest in peace, Ashley, because it's so sad to kind of learn everything that kind of wrestling took from her, instead of giving to her life and getting a lot out of the career. It feels like it took more from her than it gave to her.
well, Vince was very vindictive. I've heard this story for as long as I've heard his name. If he got a little pissed at you and he was going to give you a little bit of a push, that was all gone. He would take you out there the next week and have you beat in 2 minutes or less. But he wouldn't say he wanted you, you could be a star. But if you did something he didn't like, it could be as just nothing like you didn't say hello to him or something. He just developed a disliking for you, you were done. So not only did you have to fight your fight in the ring, you had to do it backstage too. Watch what you say, who you say it to, who you say it in front of. And it's backstage is where the battles are fought.
Yeah.
You know, that's decides if one guy doesn't want to put another guy over, well, he'll just call Vince in the room and just lay it down. And if he's of any importance to him, they'll just change it. A guy could get it changed, but they needed this guy to help this guy, but this guy refused. So the guy got beat, but he got beat probably in a worse way, which, I mean, it could be turned around if they wanted to work on it, but Vince didn't see a need to do that. So you were kind of screwed anyway.
Yeah. So, of course, we're going to talk more about Vince McMahon and everything else falling out from the lawsuit, his departure from WWE in the weeks to come. It seems like every week a new story, a new information comes out. So we'll follow up with that next week right here on Smack Talk. But we got to get into tonight's Friday night SmackDown. So keep sounding off in the live chat. Send those super chats if you want to talk and give your thoughts on tonight's SmackDown. But it was centered around The Rock and Roman Reigns in the main event, them coming out together, the undisputed WWE Universal Champion and the People's Champion together at last in the ring together for the first time since the WrestleMania 40 kickoff show. I will just say, there was parts of this I liked. There was parts of this I was confused about. It just felt weird. I don't know.
What were you confused about?
So like, okay. I understand like
Okay.
like
Okay.
there's
Let me
a lot.
start with
Okay,
this.
let me break down what was said first. Okay. So Paul Heyman presents Roman Reigns with a microphone in the ring. Reigns tells Salt Lake City to acknowledge him. The crowd complies. Reigns asks the crowd if he could be honest with the crowd and proceeded to say that the people of Utah are idiots. And just like that, Reigns got his heel heat. Reigns said that he didn't want the fans to ruin a big night because when The Rock comes out, they might go dumb. He's going to say all his catchphrases and stuff like that. But everything they will say has meaning and purpose. And it's information everyone needs to understand. He then said tonight is history because The Rock will officially become a member of the bloodline. He says then that brings out, gives us the boos, and then The Rock's music hits and the crowd goes bonkers. Like I was like when he's not here we boo, and when he okay, I guess Rock comes out, he has goosebumps because that pop was almost as loud or louder than the last time he came out. Rock was wearing his gold vest, which made me pop at home because he wore that gold.
That was great.
Oh my God,
that was great.
That's like the first time in like 2 decades he's worn that gold vest, which is a signature heel Rock, like the Hollywood Rock was the last time he was heel in WWE. He wore the leather cut off sleeve. So this is like a hybrid of his last 2 heel acts of corporate Rock that had the nice shirts and came out like that, mixed with the leather vest. Hollywood Rock, and he made it into the luxury shirt into a vest. Oh,
wow! Because I don't remember him wearing that because back in those days I was missing Raw and I was doing something else. I wasn't paying a lot of attention to it. But when he wore it out tonight, it jumps at you. Now he's not wearing his regular stuff, his regular vest. He's wearing that, which now The Rock has made a turn. I enjoyed his promo. I enjoyed when he said, "Hey, fatty, you keep talking, I'm gonna come out there and slap the taste out of your mouth," or whatever he said.
I just feel like this promo would have been a lot better if it was in the middle of the show, because boy, oh boy, did he realize that he got to. I feel like he got a count. He had to get a count because he rushed through the end of his promo because he realized he ran out of time, and the show went 1 minute over what they usually end at.
I thought it went over.
Yeah, It went over. It finished at like 9:59 when it usually ends at like sometimes it
Yeah.
ends like 9:56, 9:57.
Yep.
The Rock had a microphone. He soaks in a lot of noise, which was felt mixed, but a lot more cheers than boos to me. Rock said he had some good news to share. He said that it would make everyone happy, and the crowd. He said that and the crowd tonight. He said they broke an all-time indoor attendance record for Salt Lake City and all of Utah. They start cheering,
Mhm.
and The Rock says they broke the record for the biggest gathering of trailer park trash ever. And the crowd brewed. The
Yeah.
crowd, he went in on the crowd, said that they're inbreds and everything. Then he finally says, finally. And they're saying it with him. I'm like,
Yeah.
make up your mind. He says, your life has meaning, and you and your 50 wives will have a story to tell. Rock calls
50
all the,
wise.
yeah, he was great. Great stuff. Rock calls the people inbred. He says ultimately Rock he has come back to Salt Lake City line, and the crowd cheered and sang along with him. Those cheers switched to boos as the Rock yelled at someone in the crowd, called them fatty. Then he said he'll slap the herpes off of another fan's lips. The Rock says you guys had the biggest WrestleMania main event right in your hands, and you let it go. You flushed it right down the
Threw it
toilet.
away.
He says all you wanted to say was, "We want Cody. We want Cody." The Rock asks the fans, "What
Uh,
is Cody's story?" The crowd
yeah.
gives him the what treatment. He turns that back on them. That was a good response. Rock points out that Roman beat Cody at WrestleMania last year. Rock says that Cody wants a rematch, but that's not how it works. He says that logic is stupid. He says The Rock told everyone to shut their mouths in regards to the what chance. He then applies that logic to the Super Bowl. He says that he asks, what if the 49ers whined about their story not being finished after they lost the Super Bowl to the Kansas City Chiefs? He said, no, the 49ers moved on like men. He says it's personal, and he referenced how Michael Jordan crushed the dream of the Utah Jazz. And The Rock said the Utah Jazz didn't whine and complain about their story. They worked their asses off to get right back to the top. See, this is where I was like, okay, this is where I felt like he got the call that he needed to rush it, because he missed out on the line of saying, and then they got beat again the following year, because that's how you get
Mhm.
the heat. They missed the line to get the heat. You say, oh, you got back up, you got back to the top, and then you lost again to Michael Jordan. That was the line to get the heat to set that up, but he didn't even get to finish the line because he realized he had to rush through the rest of his promo. So he said, the real world doesn't mean people get a shot at a story just because they won it. He called the fans, and he said, I quote, spoiled, entitled, little crybaby bitches. The Rock said that he will do everything in his power to make sure Cody walks out of WrestleMania a loser. Cody's story is ending, and the bloodlines is just beginning. If you smell, and then he stops himself. He says he finished. He says you will not. It's no sing along with The Rock anymore. He says if you smell what the bloodline is cooking, and that's how
Very
we.
good. That was a good way to end it.
Yeah.
He included the bloodline in that catchphrase, and that was a good way to end it. I thought they ended it. They were ahead of schedule anyway, because I said, "What time is it?" Because, well, anyway, I just being around it and watching it so much, you can tell almost when you. I'm gonna look at the clock anyway. So, but I didn't know they went over. I thought they were right there at it. But you saying they did go over.
Yeah.
But the whole show. Let's go back and talk about the whole show. I thought it was a. I thought it was a good show. And you
I
know who I was especially impressed by? Logan Paul. Logan Paul.
I thought Logan Paul and The Miz had the strongest match of the show. But what do you think about the Rock and Roman Reigns as a duo? I'm surprised that they didn't just go ahead and at least make the challenge out there for what seems to be what they're setting up to be the main event of night one of WrestleMania, of Roman and The Rock versus Cody and Seth.
Hmm. I don't either. Maybe they'll do that next week or the week after.
That's true.
Now they're going to
Well,
Perth next week.
they're taping the second episode right now. They're taping next week
Okay.
right now.
Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll get some news from that. But how will the Perth tour is sold out, correct? In Australia.
Perth, I don't know if it's sold out. I know they have over 30,000 tickets sold, and probably nearly like 40,000 at this point. But
And
I
how many
believe,
people can they get? How many people can they get in there? It
let me
looks pretty big.
Perth Stadium, Opus Stadium capacity. I'm checking right now for everyone. It is 61,000 standing,
Well,
including standing room. So if you include like the staging and stuff, I'm guessing WWE can get 50,000 in there.
hmm yep. They'll have a hell of a house anyway.
Yeah, they will.
So,
Yeah.
and
If you have a
I'm
feeling that
I'm looking forward to that show.
you get over 30,000 in there, you're good.
hmm That's good. So,
Yeah.
what else did you like about the show?
I did not like the show as much as you. I thought this was a filler show. I thought that
And it was.
yeah,
They
this
had,
this and for but it I felt like with the hype and with so many money elimination chamber qualifying matches on the show, I thought this would be a more noteworthy show. That's why I asked you the question of were you surprised, because that was my personal biggest surprise about the Rock and Roman segment, was that there's nothing to write home about it. Like I can't say that we got any like development of the story. I felt like we were gonna get at least like a challenge out there or
well,
something, but it was more of like, okay, now that they're together, we're presenting them on one of our main television shows for the first time. This was more of like establishing that they are together more than giving us another
yeah.
chapter of the story.
Well, I call it a maintenance show. All they got to do is just maintain what they have. And I don't think Rock and Roman could advance the story with Cody anymore than it's already booked. They can just talk about that. They didn't say anything about Perth at all, did they?
No.
Cody just they look at Perth just like a live event. That's what
Well,
they're
they did.
looking at.
They did announce this week that Grayson Waller will host the Grayson Waller Effect with Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes. And then earlier in the night on the show, we saw Paul Heyman talking to Grayson Waller. So I don't know if that's going to play into anything, or maybe we get the challenge for WrestleMania Night 1 on that little segment there.
What do you think about in the future that The Rock will start as the head of the group, him and the Samoans, and have a fight with Triple H, similar to what, and I can't even say his name, Vince McMahon had with, he's going to fire everybody. He was the head of the company. Do you think The Rock could fit into that role?
I think The Rock could fit into like the heel authority figure with his real life role. I think that he can fit it, and especially now that Triple H can't wrestle, I think that you're gonna need someone that is of like that big stature, because it would probably be Triple H if he was still able to wrestle. He probably would still be wrestling and still be pinning over a couple of the younger stars. And now you have The Rock that can do that. I
So
think I think
that is for certain.
I think I said it
He can't.
last week. I think I said it last week. The best way that they can set up a lot of different things, in my opinion, at WrestleMania 40 for like the next two WrestleManias is if they have Rock and Roman win the tag matchup against Seth and Cody, and have Rock gets the win in that matchup for that team, whether it's against Seth or against Cody. Personally, I think it should be against Cody. And then Cody wins against Roman Reigns. Then you have the whole who is the real leader of the bloodline? Because without Roman having that title, then it becomes a debate. Then it becomes who is the more powerful of the two.
It's up in the air.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
But they got a whole creative team talking this stuff every day, and they're looking around corners and looking under chairs and around looking in peepholes. They're trying to find any little thing they can find, but it's right there. I mean, they don't have to look hard, because the crew they have now, that's an all-star crew, and they're putting it together. And I'm very interested to see how it's going to come out. I don't think I'm the only one. I think the ratings now will reach. Um, when's the last time they hit 3 million viewers on Raw or SmackDown? Several years.
Yeah, it's been a couple of years at least.
I think we'll start seeing that now.
I wanted to ask you another thing because we got the report this week. I think it was in the Wrestling Observer newsletter that The Rock was the one that made the call for Cody to take back the spot at WrestleMania and for him to go heel. What do you think about? And you're someone that has worked with The Rock in the past, seen him.
Yeah,
when
I
he
believe
was coming
that.
up. Is that something that you believe in? What do you think about The Rock as a creative mind?
I think he's been there long enough. See, I don't think he wants to go around a lot of loops and this and that and the other to get there. I think he knows where he wants to get there. Now, the little nooks and crannies that they're going to fill in there, that's up to the creative team. And that's up to the talent. But I think Rock knows where the money is. The money runs through him and the Samoans. So he will keep that. He will keep that in front and work off that, because now he has the crew. I don't think you could ask for a better crew. And now he's got more guys coming up, coming around. And it from a year ago from today, it's like night and day. It's like somebody flipped the light on. Now this is what you got now. Now you can see what you got. Before you were like, you had a little microscope down there looking for a little, you couldn't find anybody except Gunther. Now he's gone, but he was a bright light, and Roman, but now they have the horses to run. So get them out there and let them run, because I think the people, they want to see it. And we'll go back. I've said this time and time and time again. It's the story. When Cody says, I want to finish my story, that's exactly, the people want to see him finish the story and start another one. Yeah. And Triple H said it not too long ago on, I've learned a new word, scrum. AEW started to scrum. So when they were interviewing Triple H, he said the story never ends. That's always been my thought anyway. When you tell a story, the fans remember that story, and you can get away from that story 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and get right back into it, because now they're kind of missing it. So you go right back into the story and you're doing something they understand. Why is this guy not liking this guy? Well, 3 weeks ago, they did this and this and this. And another fan could explain it to him. Oh, okay, I got it now. So the story, just keep the story going, and you can keep it going with the same people. How did territories years and years and years ago keep it going? Because they didn't change the talent that much. They had to keep it going. They'd get their big heel and their big baby face, and they'd go back and forth. And then the heel would get somebody to help him, and the baby face would get somebody to help him. And then they'd get rid of those guys, and they'd bring more in. But they always kept the nucleus of heels and baby faces who they pushed. And if you got in with that group, you got over. Mm-hmm. And then they'd probably take you back down to where you were before. But at least you got in the same league with the guys they were pushing, which actually raised your worth. It raised your value in the company. So, and it's not hard to understand, but I do like what they're doing here in WWE a lot, because now I can be a fan again. Now I don't want to know what they're going to do. I want them to show me, and I want to say, oh, I got it. I got it. And I think that's what most wrestling fans feel. When did you become a wrestling fan?
I had to be about 4 years old, maybe 3, 4 years old.
Really?
Yeah. Like 4 or 5 years old. I remember. Yeah.
But you still remember those days?
Yeah, I do. That's when I started remembering. I was probably watching it before that, because my family was into wrestling.
Tonight's show kind of reminded me of the Attitude Era, because that show moved fast.
Mhm.
It moved right through it quickly, and the matches didn't overextend themselves. And how many matches have you watched on SmackDown? The match just goes on, and you're saying, God, please wrap it up. Do something. Just
I
if,
will say
if
that
nothing
this
else, fake a knee injury and go down and can't continue. Do something. Save me.
I will say that the in ring action, especially with the two men's elimination chamber qualifying matches, was really good on this show. We'll get into that first. First we got a super chat donation once again from Chuck Berries. Thank you so much, Chuck. He says Roman and Rock reminds me of Dwayne Wade and LeBron James when he went to Miami in 2010. Except that this LeBron James in Roman Reigns already is the champion. He's not learning to become a champion like LeBron had to when he went to Miami. But that is a good comparison, though. It's basically this new generation two-man power trip. The Austin Triple H two-man power trip from 2001. That's Rock and Roman in 2024.
Okay. I'll buy that. Now, I know what he's talking about. I didn't follow that because it's basketball. I'm not a huge basketball fan.
No.
I used to be a baseball fan before I used to go to sleep watching it. You know, you just pass out watching between pitches. And I'm kind of a football fan. And even football had to speed the game up because it was too slow.
Yeah.
Time to get back in the huddle and do this and do that. But wrestling, you know, they can speed it up at any time. The match could be going on. Speed this thing up. Do something. So that's what I like about it. But anyway, I enjoyed the show. Wasn't too long. Now I'm gonna take something back I said the other day. Paul Ellering and the group AOL and what's his
AOP,
face? Yeah,
Karrion
AOP.
Kross, the
Yeah.
Final Testament.
They showed more tonight than they've showed in any other outing. And even the girl changed her. She changed her hair.
You start going all over the place. Let's start like
I don't care. That's the way I talk.
We were on the men's elimination chamber matches. We should note that first one was Kevin Owens beating Dominic Mysterio. Dominic tried to talk on the mic before the matchup. Of course, he got drowned out. Massive heat. R-Truth came out. He was cheering for The Miz, who he thought was Kevin Owens. Dom eventually asks R-Truth to hand him a chair, but R-Truth instead sits down in the chair, turning Dom down, and then Dom walks into a super kick and the pop-up powerbomb for Kevin Owens to advance to the Elimination Chamber match. I like that we saw some advancement in the R-Truth story, him thinking that he's been a member of the Judgment Day. Now it seems like all the beatings that he's taken from the Judgment Day has gotten through to him, and he realized that he's not their friend.
Mm-hmm. Well, R-Truth, he gets himself over.
Yeah.
He's got that gimmick. He just gets himself over. You like him. If anything bad happens to him, you're going to feel bad about him. I don't care what he does. So, and I saw him out there. He helped the match. He didn't slow the match down, added to it. He added to his story out there. He can piece all this together. Now the people are getting they're getting a feeling for R-Truth. Now he's a stone cold babyface. I don't think you can make him heel. I really don't. I think the people like him too much. So, and he went out there and he helped helped Owens to win. That's fine. And even the Mysterio kid, he got beat but didn't hurt him because they came back later in an interview with him.
I know. I thought it didn't hurt him because this was one of his better matches. This was a really good Dom matchup here. He worked really well with Kevin Owens here, so I didn't think he lost anything by losing by a detraction from Truth.
Was that a multi? Did they take a break in that match?
Yeah.
Well, that's a match. I said I hope they don't take 3 breaks in this, and I wish they hadn't taken any break in it. But at least they made it as entertaining as they could. They had a good match. Who was in the second one?
The other one was Logan Paul going one-on-one with The Miz. This was a rematch from SummerSlam 2022. And
Yep.
boy, oh boy, this was a really good matchup. I thought that
It
the
was.
Miz, he really was kind of like the glue of this matchup, really bringing the
Oh, he was the
storytelling,
glue.
the psychology, the work on the knee was very well done. I thought Logan Paul sold the knee very well in this one. Of course, Logan Paul had to try to cheat and be sneaky, going for the brass knuckles on the outside, but Miz
I
stopped him.
didn't. I didn't get that.
What do you
Why
mean?
did the guy have the knuckles?
That's one of his podcasts co-hosts.
Oh, I see. I
Yeah,
see.
he's there for every one of his matches here. But yeah, he doesn't use that, but he breaks the eyes behind the referee's back. He then punches him with the loaded fist, but not with the brass knuckles, but the clear fist. And then he says, "I'm going to Elimination Chamber," and does like a reverse skull crushing finale for the 1, 2, 3. I thought though this was a really good matchup. I thought like Logan Paul and Miz worked really well together, and I liked the kind of the changing because the first time they went against each other, Miz was the heel, Logan Paul was the baby face. This worked better for me with Miz as the baby
Oh
face,
yeah.
Logan Paul as the heel.
Okay. Who taught Logan Paul to put all this stuff together? Or is he just a
He's
natural?
he's one of the best naturals that we've ever seen come into wrestling,
He
honestly.
oh he's got it. And if you'd ask me, will he get it? Very few can do that, but he can do it.
Yeah.
And he's got the showmanship, and he's got the moves, and he understands pro wrestling. He understands it,
Yeah.
and you want to like him, but you just can't because he's just a smart ass. You want to punch him. So, but his actual work, immaculate. I've never used that word to describe a guy, but he is almost like I can't remember names tonight. Who's the guy who does all the flying around? What's his name? I can't
Ricochet.
remember any names. Ricochet. He does. I would like. Have they had a match? They've
Yeah, they
had a
did
match,
at
haven't they?
SummerSlam last year.
They had a great match. So Logan Paul, my hats off to him because I think he has it all. But as he has to be a heel first, and then the fans will change him.
Yeah.
And you can tell when they're getting ready to change him. Because I've seen a lot of heels all of a sudden they couldn't be heels anymore because the fans liked them and they didn't want to boo them anymore. And
Usually how it
then
works.
we'd have to change them.
The only other note from the men's elimination chamber side, as far as the build for tonight, yeah, Drew McIntyre with an interview backstage, he says that he was the only one who needs to win the elimination chamber. Everybody else wants to win it, but LA Knight walks in and tells Drew his moment will be stolen one more time at the elimination chamber. McIntyre told Knight that he was good, but Drew said that he sees through Knight. Knight is insecure. Knight says that McIntyre hasn't been a champion of anything since Knight has been in WWE. Knight brought up the CM Punk Drew McIntyre shirt, and he says that you're going to put your name above CM Punk's name. He says McIntyre's aspirations will end up the same as Punk's, 6 feet under, and then officials come and break them up, and then it's announced later in the night we're going to have LA Knight versus Drew McIntyre next week right here on SmackDown.
I like he called him DM Punk. Drew McIntyre Punk. That was actually pretty good.
Yeah,
So
Drew called himself DM Hunk the other week
okay.
after he attacked Punk.
Well, it was a good little twist. I got it. So maybe somebody else may get it. But yeah, I want to see what comes of that because I like both those guys. And I like LA Knight a little bit better because he LA Knight has just hung in there and hung in there and hung in there through going through TNA and NXT but he's been in there. Now he's there. Now he's making it count, and I'm glad for him. He's a good guy.
I think Drew McIntyre has been the best character in WWE, so I'm all down for Drew McIntyre more on SmackDown. So next week,
Mm-hmm.
Drew versus LA Knight. Then we had a backstage interview with the number one contenders for the undisputed WWE tag team titles, Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. Dunne says that things were going great, and last week was proof of that. Dunne says that all that's left to do is win the tag team titles at the Chamber. Bate says that their new name is the New Catch Republic. Dom shows up out of nowhere and says that they won't beat anyone in Judgment Day. So Bate challenges Dom to team up with R-Truth to have a match next week. But Dom says R-Truth's not in Judgment Day. So he says, okay, then JD then. So it's going to be JD and Dom versus New Catch Republic. What do you think about that name?
It's okay because it sounds so. We laugh at it now, but it may catch on. Who knows? New Catch Republic. But I'm interested in seeing that match now since they couched it in those terms. Yeah, okay. I want to see. I'm going to see what they're going to give me. I've never seen it before, never even thought about it before. So it'll be something new. That's what I liked about SmackDown tonight, because some of those matches hadn't even occurred to me they would have them, and that's why I think it flew by and it was entertaining. That's what you want in a wrestling show.
Then you had the Women's Elimination Chamber qualifying matchups, Dutch. You had Tiffany Stratton versus Selena Vega. I thought this match exceeded my expectations. I thought this was a really solid matchup. Tiffany Stratton, once again, picking up a victory in this one against Selena Vega, who I thought was the looked better in this matchup. I thought she showed good fire in this match. She was distracted by Legato, who was sitting front row. She got into a whole confrontation with Elektra, throwing her over the barricade and then back over to Legato, but that distracted her enough for Tiffany Stratton to hit a spine buster followed by the prettiest moonsault ever. But she's now 0-2 for hitting that prettiest moonsault ever, because she had to have broken Zelina Vega's ribs with that moonsault. Oh my God.
Her knee came right in here. And I'm thinking, and I watched Selena Vega, as a referee, and I didn't see her grabbing. I thought I would see her grabbing.
Oh, I saw it.
She had to hurt her.
Go back and watch. She wants to grab it, but it's Tiffany pins her. But she's like waiting to grab at the ribs. Like, oh man, crushed her.
Well, she needs to learn to do that a little better, or Selena Vega needs to know how to adjust. If she sees she's coming down short, just move in a little bit.
Yeah.
And it won't take many of those to get her to do that.
I think she got to talk to like Io Sky. Io Sky does the moonsault for her finish. She just got to talk to her as far as like positioning. I think that's been the issue with the first two times she's done her finish, is that she hasn't got the position right on where to put her opponent for her to do that move.
I would say when they go out there before the show goes on the air and they're going through that, I think we need to give her some crash pads and let her draw somebody out there and say, land right here. So,
right in the middle, please.
No, if you raise your head or what, you could get it right here, right straight across the nose. Your nose is broken and you'll be out for a month or 6 weeks.
I watched Rampage earlier tonight, and that happened to Jeff Hardy in a match with Sammy Guevara.
Oh.
He did like a 450 and his knee crushed Jeff Hardy's face, and he broke his nose.
He did break his nose?
Yeah, he broke his nose. It was blood all over the mat, Dutch. It was obvious he broke his nose. The second of the women's chamber qualifying matches saw Naomi making her main roster singles in-ring return against Alba Fire. I thought that this was not as good as the first one because it felt a little bit slow. Like these two were just getting a feel of one another. It just felt, a lot less intriguing as well because it was obvious Naomi was going to win this one. So it just felt like they were kind of wasting time with how this match went actually longer than the first one, which I thought that I was like, that was a mistake. But I really like Naomi's new theme song. That was great. And I like that the fact that she's still using the Starstruck finish, which got her the win here by tap out over Alba Fire. And the lineup so far for the Women's Elimination Chamber is now Becky Lynch, Liv Morgan, Bianca Belair, Naomi, and Tiffany Stratton, with one more spot to be filled in the last chance battle royale. What did you think about Naomi versus Alba Fire?
See, I don't know Alba Fire. I don't know her. I know the name, and I maybe seen her a time or two. I think she needs more outings for me to kind of get on her bandwagon. I don't understand her gimmick. I don't understand what that is. What is it?
I think they're supposed to be witches. I don't know how to explain it better than that.
Yeah, but see, witches, I don't think they really. I don't think anybody has any kind of strong opinions right now about witches, no. And I don't know. But I don't get her gimmick. I don't get what the other girl. They're just I don't know. So we'll let WWE take their development along, and maybe they'll hit on something that I kind of get. And I mean, I'm a fan. I'm an older fan anyway, so a lot of things won't hit me like it's going to hit young people. Young people could be all over that. I don't know. But for me, witches, I don't ever remember a witch as a girl, a wrestler or performer getting over. I don't even remember a witch, period. Maybe change that W to a B. I knew some of those.
I mean, the only one I
but the witch getting over, no, it's not
the only one I could really think that would count would be like Luna Vachon but I don't know if that's not really considered a witch when she was first with Kevin Sullivan.
She was just evil, and he was evil too.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't really have it attached to anything. They were just whatever they were. You could, and I like that better, where you could put your own imagination to it and make them whatever you wanted to make them. But saying they're witches, and I don't get that at all.
Backstage segment where they had AJ Styles sitting in a backstage and the OC walks in. Styles and Anderson get into it, trading barbs with one another. Styles pie faces Anderson. Anderson pushes him. They start trading pushes with one another. They're breathing heavily at each other. Styles walks away while Anderson looks all mad. There are issues in the OC, Dutch.
Oh, yeah. But I don't know what the issues are, so maybe they'll tell me. But just seeing the two guys have a tiff, that still didn't excite me to see them lock up. I just don't see it.
That's fair.
I mean, what I'm saying is that I don't feel the chemistry yet. So you feel the chemistry between, Roman and The Rock. You feel that. But here you got two guys in a tag team that I haven't seen on TV in like months and months and months. I mean, I've seen them on TV, but not in a match. They would be walking AJ out there. Now, we know they're connected, they're attached, but for them to all of a sudden have a disagreement, didn't do anything for me. They'd have a good match.
I'll say been developing since Styles came back, but I understand if you're not interested in it. They haven't done anything to make you interested in it. Then we get some.
That's what I was trying to say.
We get
done zero. Okay.
We get some development in the Io Sky Bailey build as we get a video first from Io Sky, Kairi Sane, and Asuka. They are Damage Control, apparently. They're speaking
that was
in
good.
Japanese. Sky says that it's Io's era. They talk about how Bailey is the one that really betrayed them and how they were the ones that were strong, and that Damage Control may have been her vision, but they're the ones that made it possible. Asuka then calls out Dakota Kai, and Sane does the same, saying that if she thinks that she can betray them, she must have another thing coming, and they're gonna come for her. And then Asuka says that no one is ready for Damage Control.
I like that. I like them speaking Japanese, and I can kind of get attached to that. They have chemistry together.
Yeah,
Bailey and the Japanese girls, they have chemistry. Now, who did Bailey talk to? What is her name?
Bailey was walking backstage and she was interrupted by Dakota Kai, who told Bailey that Damage Control is coming after her. Bailey says that she didn't know who she can trust, and Dakota says that she's the only one that she says that Bailey's the only one that she can trust, but Bailey says that she couldn't talk right now, and she walks away from Kai, and Kai kind of seems confused and upset by Bailey's actions. So I feel like this is all a setup. This is all a setup that they're just trying to lure Bailey in, and then Dakota's going to turn her back on her.
Okay, how long you think it'd take for that to happen?
I think they can get like 2 more weeks out of this because they rushed the actual turn. Like I said, I've been saying for weeks that the turn was great. The back in a vacuum, it was great. It was not built to properly. So I feel like they're trying to build properly to the Dakota turn. So I'm willing to give them about 2 more weeks.
Well, I'm willing to give them a little more to set it up because Dakota Sky, is that her name?
Dakota Kai.
Dakota Kai. I think they got to give her, they got to kind of entice the viewer to come in and say, no, she won't turn on Bailey. Then when she does it, now it's going to be more of a shock. So I would give them more than 2 weeks and let's see where they are. Because I'm not riding it. You're not either. You're just saying what you feel. And it would be a great turn. It would be if they get it to where they need it to be.
And we got another super chat donation. Thank you so much, Cliffside. We got Cliffside who says, Mr. Mantell, any advice for growing a legendary beard and mustache?
Well, first of all, you can't be a female to grow this mustache. You have to be a male and you have to have male features and all this. But yeah, if you can grow a beard, you grow it long. Why are you shaking your head? No, you just grow it long and then gotta shape it. Or you can go. Now, I've never done this. I've never went to a barber and said, shape my beard. I've never done that. It's hit or miss, and you get your little trimmers out. And it takes up like 15 minutes of my morning, and I don't even do it every day. But you just trim it out, and get it the way you want it, and it changes daily. It can, if you miss a lick, you messed it all up. So, but there's no secret to it. It's hit or miss. And sometimes when it gets there, it gets there. If it don't, well, keep trying because you'll get it there. You'll get it halfway right, even by accident. You'll get it somewhere in there. But here, this has probably taken me 6 months, I guess, or more. I mean, I've always had the beard and the mustache. So now I had it when I was in the WWE. It was more like a straight line out. But now I've let it drop and turn it up. So I like it. And when you see me who I am. I mean, that's my trademark right there. So if I don't have that, you go, oh, I know your voice, but I don't know. Are you who I think you are? And I say, yeah, whatever. Kind of a little embarrassing when people don't know who you are. But so I got to slap the hell out of them, Okay, is he still there? Okay. That made you $5 there, Mister.
There you go. You give him a $5 explanation.
That's very, very good. So,
well, yes, definitely. Thank you so much, Cliffside, for the super chat donation. But finally, with SmackDown, only 2 more things to mention here. You wanted to mention AOP was a very dominant win, a squash victory over Javier Benal and Bo Morris. And I think that it's not surprising that this was the best that they've looked because that's what AOP is best at, squash wins.
Yeah, I mean, don't ask them to go out there and work. I mean, that's just too much. I mean, hey, we're getting in the ring and we're doing this and we're taking up TV time. And hey, even the girl, she changed her hair color. She's not a blonde anymore. She's a brunette. She changed up, but I still didn't like them. I mean, it was just 2 guys waiting to get the crap beat out of them. And I liked the way they stood there and they Oh yeah, we were ready to go. And the guys beat him like like a minute.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
quick, but
It was
it's the best they've looked. And I don't know. I still haven't changed my attitude on them. I think they just fill in space. And I don't know what they think they can do with those guys. I really don't. Because if they had to carry on a 12-minute match, 10 minutes, people would be going to the concession stand. I call that the concession stand match. When you want to say, if they come up to you, and they used to come up to me and they say, Dutch, listen, on the first intermission, we set a record. We sold 82 hot dogs. I said, we can beat that. Then if I had a team like OP, I'd sit them out there right before intermission again, and I swear to God, they'd sell 100 hot dogs during the match. Then intermission would hit right after the match. So instead of having like a 10-minute intermission, we'd have like a 20-minute intermission, so they could really get to those hot dogs. I could really make the concession stand make some money.
You just learned promoting 101.
Yeah.
How you raise the concession stands from Dutch Mantell, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, that is a deal. And I've told the concession stand guy, and he said, "Man, it sounds great to me.
He's
Sounds
like,
great."
sounds like a
Oh
deal
yeah,
to me. That sounds
oh
great.
yeah, he loved it. So, but
One
anyway,
final
I
one
haven't changed my attitude on OP. Is that their names?
AOP.
What
AOP.
AOP? What's that mean? What's that mean anyway?
Authors of Pain.
What?
Authors of Pain.
Authors of pain.
Yes.
Oh yeah, well, that strikes fear in somebody's heart. Go ahead.
One final segment for us to touch on because it sets up what we're going to see next week as Nick Aldis came out. We saw him in the stands with Jade Cargill and Braun Breaker. We saw him backstage in his office with the two free agents as well. And then he announced that one of the free agents had made their decision, and it was in fact the current NXT Tag Team Champion. Braun Breaker has officially signed with the SmackDown brand and will make his in-ring debut on SmackDown next week on the show. What do you think about Braun Breaker being on SmackDown, and what do you think about what's his potential? What's his ceiling on the blue
No,
brand?
I don't think he has a ceiling. I think he can go I think he has a talent enough to go as far up as they want him to go. He has taken the place of Brock Lesnar, and he kind of fell in at the right time because Brock took a hiatus, not voluntarily, but he had to take one. So a spot opens up for a big, strong guy, and they can just fill him right in Brock's places. I did not like that interview in the back, though. They're taking those girls and making them cute and funny, and I don't think they get over that way. I really don't. So we'll see. I mean, it's their show. I don't have to like everything, but I do like Von Breaker. And if I'm talking about my favorite girl, it's Chelsea Green. She's on Raw though, right?
Yeah, she's Raw.
Yeah. Well, I miss her on SmackDown because there's a girl that has the potential and the personality to go right on up there because the people like her.
Yeah.
She's very likable and she's kind of funny and she fits the role. And you don't have to put her on top, just put her in there. Let her do Chelsea Green stupid shit and she'll get over.
Indeed. Dutch, let the people know where they can follow you on social media, what you got going on your podcast and everywhere else.
Well, I had a podcast, it hit, one of the little clips they take out, almost 340,000 views. And I went, damn, that's over 250,000.
Yeah.
Of course, I was talking about Vince, and that's why I said when we started the show, now let's talk Vince. Vince is hot. Vince is all over the world. He's in all the papers, all over the world. Really, he's in Japan and he's in China and Africa and everywhere, because everybody knows him. So that's what I talked about. And it hit 340,000 views. It's on YouTube. It's called Story Time with Dutch. And come over. And when you come over, don't come over and just hit their subscribe. subscribe to the channel, and I'll appreciate that. And what else was I going to say? I have 2 books out. If you want the books, write Dirty Dutch Mantell with 2 L's at gmail.com. If you want a hat, same place, write to me. And I'm starting my own little store. What are you doing?
I'm pointing to the hat. I was pointing to the hat.
Oh, wait. I'll put it up again.
Yeah, there you go.
See
There
there?
you go. Yeah.
The University of Dutch, and student loans, I don't accept it. So you're going to have to pay your own way here. And it's not very much. But I have a diploma too, the University of Dutch diploma, signed by the college president, that's Dutch Mantell, signed by the college provost, that's Zeb Coulter, with the stamp on it to certified. A great looking diploma. You can hang it right on the wall. That's what I'm doing.
And you can follow me on the Twitter machine at TrueHeelSP3. And I will be live tomorrow, 11:05 a.m. Eastern Time. The True Heel Heat Flash Hit Podcast. The best look at the entire week in professional wrestling. Join us live tomorrow. The True Jaw Josh will be there. Miss Chrissy Love. And we'll talk about this week in wrestling with everything going down with Rock, Roman, Cody, Vince McMahon news, everything else.
Yes, I was going to mention one more thing. I'm doing the only signing that I've agreed to do this year. It's in May the 10th and 11th. It's in Evansville, Indiana. And I'll be joined by, and it has mostly the Memphis guys. Like Lawler, Jerry Lawler will be there. Bill Dundee will be there. Austin Idol will be there. I think Coco Beware will be there. And if you were familiar with Memphis wrestling, of course, everybody was. You come see us, and we're going to be at the National Guard Army. We were going to be in the old building where we used to have the wrestling, but it's going under renovation. So we'll be at the National Guard Army May the 11th, 10th and 11th. So come and see us.
There you have it. Go over and like this video, share this video with all your wrestling fans, friends, and family, and sound off in the comments down below. Tell us what you think about everything going down with Vince McMahon, Stephanie McMahon, Ashley Massaro. Let us know what you think about The Rock and Roman Reigns on SmackDown and everything you thought about this week's show in the comments down below. For Dutch Mantell, for Rick Ucchino, who missed this week, he'll be back with us next week. This has been Smack Talk on Sportskeeda by WrestleBinge. Later, y'all.
See ya.